We are with the chairman of the infrastructure subcommittee for the Africa Cup of Nations Pamoja 2027. That will be hosted by Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania. The tournament is not too far away, and that's why it's very important we get to speak to the people in charge of the tournament. And this is Ambrose Tashobya, with a long history in sports, as a player, as a coach, as a federation president, and now serving in administration over the past few years, and is also chairman of the board at the National Council of Sports. So, Ambrose, we want to get straight into it. When Uganda, Kenya and Tanzania are going to host a tournament as big as the AFCON, what is the aim of the local organizing committee when they choose to come to Morocco? What are we trying to pick from what Morocco have done with the 2025 AFCON?
What is critical at this stage is to see the level of preparedness of the Pamoja countries as far as hosting AFCON in relation to what Morocco has done right now. Because by all standards, Morocco is doing a very good job in hosting AFCON 2027. Now, there are a number of things. One, like you've said, some of us have a long history in sport, but as we work to deliver Pamoja 2027, we are working with different ministries, different officers, different persons who are very critical in delivering a good AFCON, but some of them might not have the level of understanding of this kind of event and what happens during the event. So being here, one, they get first-hand feel of what happens during the event. For example, the finals that we are going to watch today, it's very, very important that we have some of these decision makers as part of that event, so that they understand, even as we came in through the airports, to see how the airport handles the people that are coming in, prioritization of the people coming through the event, through for the event, up to where we are as a country, to experiencing staying in a city that is hosting an event like the finals right now, to see the pressure on the hotel in the city like Rabat today, the pressure that's going to be on the traffic, but ultimately the actual stadium and the event that is going to happen this evening. That is very, very important for us as LOC, so that we can go back home and look at the different aspects of hosting and see whether we are ready or what needs to be fine-tuned to get us to a place where we feel comfortable and confident that we can host this event.
Rabat has had 5 of the 9 stadiums that have been used for this AFCON, because the tournament has also been in Fez, in Tangier, in Casablanca, and all these other, and Marrakesh, and all these other cities. The most critical thing about why I ask about the stadiums is how far ahead or behind in terms of the schedule in delivering stadiums as Uganda. We know Hoima is done, and is ready. If you have to host AFCON tomorrow, it can host, but they still work with Lira and Nambole in the case of Uganda. What is the timeline to have those ready so that CAF can do their inspection?
For starters, and to clarify to Uganda as a country, Uganda is meant to host mainly in 2 cities, in Kampala and Hoima.
Okay. So
Lira comes in as a safety stadium in case one of the other countries fails to host. We agreed as Pamoja, we need to have 6 stadiums. That means 2 stadiums per country. But if one country for any reason fails to host, or during the time, or just before the event gets a challenge, it could be political, it could be anything social, that stops us from having games there, then the other 2 countries should not fail in the bid. They should raise 3 stadiums. So for Uganda, the major focus of hosting is on Kampala as a city at Mandela National Stadium and Lira at Hoima City Stadium. Now, those 2 facilities, one, we saw Mandela National Stadium host CHAN, which is a lesser event in requirement than AFCON. So we anticipate, we plan that in the coming months or so, we get UPDF to the further upgrade. We did 1 upgrade, which helped us host CHAN, but now we need to get to a level where we can comfortably host AFCON. What we are going to work on at Nambole, one is to work on the grandstand or the western side of the pavilion to ensure that we relocate the changing rooms that you have always seen on the eastern side to bring them on the western side, which means that also the media moves, because we had issues with the media and the sun in their eyes and all that, together with the size of the VIP lounges, VVIP lounges, and those other amenities that are very important for the grandstand. So that's the work that is going to start now.
How long would that work take?
That work should take 12 months.
Maximum.
So it means that by January 2027, we should be done. Because the pitch is done, it is to standard. You saw the comments on a football pitch.
One of the best
playing surfaces. And the other auxiliary amenities that we need, the road connection to the stadium is perfect. You saw so many people were worried about the traffic impact during the event, and we had a very nice hosting of Chan. People were able to access the stadiums, so we just need to improve on that, where we now improve on a little bit of the training system, maybe make sure that the concerned ministry improves on the train a little bit to hold some of these Class B tickets and Class C tickets safely to bring them to the stadium. But now when we come to Hoima City, which now is the other major city, of course, on 24th of December, the President inaugurated Hoima City Stadium together with the First Lady. First-class stadium to the size that we agreed should be for Hoima City. So the only thing that we must work on urgently on those two on Hoima as a city is now to improve the hotels. Yeah. Hotels in Kampala are as good as sorted. We have 5-star hotels to a very
Kampala and Wakiso.
Kampala and Wakiso. Yeah. Kampala and Wakiso as an area. So now for the third city, which is Lira, Lira is underway. You have seen the work is going on. We anticipate that by September this year, the stadium, the football stadium, the zone 1, what you call zone 1, will be fully complete. Then by the end of the year, zone 2, which has the indoor stadium and the rest of the training pitches, will also be done. So by end of 2026, this year that we've started, we should be done and dusted as far as the two cities are concerned.
Someone on television back home watches the AFCON and only sees what is on the pitch. But maybe you need to paint for them a picture. You spoke about the hotel, the entire ecosystem around the tournament of this magnitude, because in some cases when you come to these tournaments, you tend to realize the football is actually the smallest part of the tournament, because the other things, the accommodation, the transport system, and then as you speak about the other amenities around the tournament and the entire ecosystem and the benefit, the other one is that such tournaments are not only organized for the media and you people in the LOC. They are for Ugandans. This tournament we are at is for Moroccans. How big a campaign do we need to run as a country for the entire Uganda to buy into that AFCON 2027?
First, this is a good and broad question, because we are talking about three things. You're talking about sports, you're talking about sports tourism, and you're talking about Uganda and the level of development of the country. Now, to address, to talk about this that you've asked about, you have to look at it from the different eyes that you have pointed it to. One, to Ugandans. What does this tournament mean to anyone in Uganda? One, it is a chance and an opportunity for Uganda to showcase itself to the entire world. From Ugandans as individuals to Uganda as a country, to Uganda as a destination. Now, what does it mean to a level, to a person who is growing matoke, bananas, and to someone who is doing chapati on the road and Rolex? What does it mean to them? You need to anticipate and expect that during this event we get in so many visitors. As they come in, they interact, some of them interact with you as a Ugandan, as a country for the very first time. So what do you show them and how you behave towards them and how you receive them, that is the picture of the country that they will take back to wherever they go, and that's what they will think about Uganda as a country.
All of us who have been here for a month are taking back a very good image of Morocco.
Yes,
that's good. I think cab drivers have been coached on what to tell customers, hotel, people, everywhere we've been,
Yes.
Even
So,
on the street, everyone is saying, you're welcome. And you're stopping at the bus station and saying, you're welcome to our country.
So that is very, very critical, because the success of a country and the growth of a country depends, one, on how the outside world view you as a country and how they interact with you. Now you have a cause and a reason of coming back to Morocco to spend money. You've been here for all this time. I'm sure you have spent a lot of money. If we audited you, you have spent so much on this country, and that's what we expect.
Survival instincts.
Yes, when people come to Uganda, we want them to fall in love with the country, with the people of Uganda, and be able to cause them to come another time. So that calls for us as a country to be able to educate our people on how they should interact with people during their AFCON. From how you behave as a person. If you've been littering on the streets and dirtying the street, you've seen the level of cleanliness we have in this city. Every small little thing that has been thrown by mistake on the street, someone is picking it up and making sure that the place is kept neat and clean. To later on, when you go to hotels like this one, people are very hospitable, people are welcoming you. So that is a big job that we must do for us as a country, because ultimately, that money that comes through the different, through hotels, through anything that we spend on, end up in the pockets of Ugandans and to our economy, to help us grow as a country. So that is number one. Number two, for us as the people working with government and institutions that are very, very important for the planning of the country, we need to ensure that the infrastructure that we are preparing for AFCON is to the standard, that the person who comes into the country, who flies in at Entebbe and is able to check into the country, comes through a good airport, comes through good systems, that the journey to the country, into the country, is well expedited and professional and is very well handled, to moving from the airport to the hotels, where we talk about the need for the hotels. When you talk about this event, now in the technical aspect of hosting people,
beyond the hotels, there is an Airbnb. I have my house and I can go to the village for that month. And
So we will need the people that come with the team as delegations, some of them to stay with the teams, to stay in the hotels. But now the numbers are going to be so big. You have seen here people advertising apartments, and so many of our people are staying in apartments. The hotels maybe, and the costs are so unbearable. So someone needs to know that I can prepare my house in any of our neighborhoods and sell it as an Airbnb, go to the village, make some, attend to my gardens, later on come. But at the end of that event, I've made $2,000. I've made 7 million Uganda shillings, rather than stay in the city and I don't benefit from it at all. So we need to ensure that this whole accommodation framework is done well and people are educated on how to tap into it. Otherwise, then the pressure is going to be too much on the hotels, and people are going to say, we have nowhere to be accommodated, yet people are sitting in houses and have empty houses in the villages, yet they could have benefited from them, these houses being in opposition to make some money. To later on now getting to the stadiums and having infrastructure that we have already been talking about, that needs to be the standard to host the event and to make sure that we can do it. But now, beyond this that we've talked about, before the event, Uganda must be able to market itself on all platforms possible. First of all, to open people's eyes on what is possible when they come to Uganda. We don't expect people to come, we play football, they watch football, and they run out of the country. We want to be able to hold on to these numbers. A stadium like Hoima City Stadium is very, very well positioned. It is just next to Murchison Falls National Park. It is not far from Queen Elizabeth National Park. It is not very far from the Fort Portal, the Mpanga, the forest and the chimpanzees. So let's have these people get sucked into all these tourist destinations that we do have, up all the way up to the gorillas in Bwindi. Let people have those experiences of the country. Let people have experiences of source of the Nile, being able to go to the resorts, the Munyonyos and all this, and enjoy the open water of Lake Victoria and the good weather that we have as a country. So that is going to call for the tourism sector of Uganda.
And luckily, the Uganda Tourism Board were here.
Exactly.
To see what
is happening. To ensure that we position ourselves to take advantage of the numbers that are coming. But even those who do not come in, and I always tell people that sometimes through the event and through the lens, you can show a part of the country that causes people to come. And I give people an hour after Paris Olympics, the event that showcased Paris and France the most was the marathon. The marathon through the camera looked amazing. Whoever has never gone to Paris wanted to go to Paris because of the event itself. As people ran through the city, they showcased their city. So as we position ourselves for AFCON 2027, we need to showcase Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania as serious destinations for tourism that the entire world out there should see. But now beyond that, when we come again to the other sporting bit, through hosting the event, we build aspiration. We profile football as a sport. We want to cause our young boys and girls that are growing to think football, to want to do football, and broadly sport. That then
every kid here wants to be Hakimi.
Exactly.
Ashraf Hakimi, because on every billboard and every street corner.
Yes.
And he plays at one of the biggest clubs in PSG. So you meet every kid on the small pitches across the city.
Yeah.
And all of them are talking Hakimi.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some will even love the other players who come here. Some want to be Mo Salah, some want to be Sadio Mane because they have seen how they play, and they saw them play against their own people. Because sometimes you seeing a star play in Manchester United or Arsenal, whoever it is, and there's no interaction with seeing them play or being challenged by your very own, does not build enough aspiration. You think these are gods out there. But if you saw a young man from your village play AFCON and he play against these big names that you're talking about, and you see him mark Sadio Mane for so many minutes and he's able to contain him, then you start thinking, if he can do it, I can do it. Oh, actually the opportunities that are there in football are within reach. So we think that through this event also we build aspiration in our young people to do sports and to think seriously about sport, and probably help also our local federation, FUFA, and the other two federations to up, their game in preparation of players, in being able to technically grow themselves as federations and position football in the country.
Maybe finally, there was a press conference that you did not attend, addressed by the CAF president, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, yesterday, Saturday. And one of the worries, and this was a question from an African football journalist called Mamadou Gueye. He's from Ivory Coast. He has been in the game very long, must be close to his 60s. And he asked a very pertinent question, because Ivory Coast hosted the last edition, the 2023 AFCON. And his question was, where he comes from, Ivory Coast, they did a fairly good job with AFCON. And he said Morocco has raised the bar this high. And his next fear is that East Africa will take the tournament back to where Ivory Coast was. What assurance can we as a country give Africa that one will be ready? Because the CAF president Motsepe had to defend Uganda and Kenya and Tanzania by saying that one, CAF officials will be in the country this year to help the country be ready. And did not specify for how long. I would imagine they would be in Uganda maybe for 8 or 1 year before the tournament itself. And then he said he's going to visit in April and check on the progress of where we are. So what assurance would the rest of Africa have that this tournament will be well done? Because like you stated earlier, this is not like the CHAN. The standards that Ashraf Hakimi or Mohamed Salah expects what he finds at Liverpool, or Bryan Mbeumo finds at Manchester United, or Brahim Diaz finds at Real Madrid. And this is training, recovery. I've seen at their training complexes, they have all these ice baths, they have all the amenities of a professional sportsman. That is only on the sporting side. Of course, there is an issue of transport where there is a lot of money to make. I think part of the money that you make in this tournament, you have to take a cab every other day, so you're going to pay a minimum of, on a day you're going to spend at least 30,000 Uganda shillings on transport alone to get into a cab from one place to another. because that was also a worry, because people questioned that to move from Uganda to another country may take you 2 days. And the reality is that on the road, if you leave Kampala and you're going to Dar es Salaam, you might take 2 days because the border at Namanga is closed in the night and you cannot move in the night, so you have to wait for sunrise to cross. So these kind of questions are what you people are supposed to be answering. What assurance would Africa have that we will actually be ready? Or even if we are not, we'll still have ticked most of the boxes.
Yeah.
At least confident, everyone might think we'll tick the facilities box, we'll tick the hotels box in Kampala. What else?
Yeah, so I think for starters, and I have had this in so much, in so many interactions, that I tell people that Africa is a diverse continent. Africa, one, should not be in competition with itself and should not try to just be in competition with the outside. It should sell its own diversity. You've talked about Ivory Coast, you've talked about Morocco.
I've also been to Cameroon,
Been
to Gabon,
exactly.
been to Egypt, been to
Exactly.
Equatorial Guinea.
So East Africa, before anything else, has something that Morocco does not have. Okay? That it must sell to the world the way it is because of how it is well positioned and gifted. So Africa has to appreciate the diversity that it has. You are moving from a country as Morocco, as much as you are appreciating what Morocco has done. Some other people are saying we are not comfortable being here. The expenses might be slightly higher. I mean, this jacket, the way you see me shivering around. And I can assure you that East Africa will be a whole different game.
You'll wear shorts and
You
a
will
vest.
wear shorts and a vest and go to the beach and enjoy, and you'll eat fresh food, you'll eat it at a very low cost, you'll interact with people who are smiling, and that you cannot take it away from us. And on that we can't be challenged. Now, secondly, we are building, of course this is a new experience. East Africa has not hosted some of these huge events, and you have to allow us that level of taking that bigger step, big leap. So infrastructure-wise, we are not at the level of development of Morocco, but we are working towards it. Now, the one brilliant thing that we did as the East African countries is to go for the joint Pamoja bid, 3 countries. If you said Uganda was hosting this alone as a country, now you would have so many big questions and a good level of worry. Why? Because like you said, having 6 stadiums to the size that CAF demands and the quality that it demands for one economy, it's a huge stretch. But what we did, we shared the burden by us hosting as 3 countries. So we are just doing 2 states, meaning also you need 2 cities per country. So it's a much easier burden for us to share, and we believe that we'll be able to do a very good job amongst ourselves and be able to host the event to a very, very good standard. Now, you've already answered some of the questions you had on infrastructure, and we've already talked about them. You have your infrastructure for sport done. Hoima City Stadium is done. We are going to do Nambole and get it done. But most importantly, the training facilities that we are working on now, from the Chambogo to Makerere University, that we are signing an MOU on the 23rd with the contractor. We already signed with Makerere University, and we are starting Masindi, we are starting Boma Ground and all this. Before I left the country, we had a meeting with the UPDF Engineers Brigade on how they roll out. We already have the money. All these facilities we are talking about that meet the quality of playing surface, of changing rooms, and those amenities that are needed are to CAF standard. So what you saw at Chambogo, now we are starting phase 2. If you during Chan, where people are fascinated, they say, there's a carpet at Chambogo. No, there's no carpet, it's natural grass. And expect the same at Makerere, expect the same at Satito Wenye, expect Masindi and the rest of the city. So that we are going to deliver. I'm not worried about it. The Engineers Brigade is well aware of the standard and working with the CIS as the subcontractor, and we deliver on that. The other aspects of the hotels, now that's the issue that that needs serious attention. On cities, for example, like Hoima City, that's where we have to do a lot of work in a very, very short time. Auxiliary facilities, talk about the roads, talk about the medical services that needs to be upped a little bit. But if you talk about Uganda as a country, we are only talking about, you saw us deliver stadium in around 13 months. Yeah. So we can work within the remaining months to make sure that the emergency service, if we need one small building at this hotel at at the hospital in Masindi, and one at Hoima, that's done in a short time and it's delivered. So if you ask me honestly, I believe that the East African Pamoja experience will be a very unique experience and be a very good experience. I can tell you that the people that came for Chan, and we had a good interaction with most of them. Actually, most of them are fighting to stay in Uganda. I had an interaction and I said, no, Saj has enjoyed too much. No, we want to be the one to be stationed in Uganda. Why? And they were citing 2 or 3 things. One was the people. Before anything else, Ugandans were very easy to work with, easy to deal with, open, always smiling, always welcoming, willing to help. You can go to a country where everything is there, but no one wants to help you, even talk to you, trouble in Europe. I must say this. And
I've been in Asia.
Been in Asia, but you don't want to go back.
Yeah.
But they have everything there. So that is going to continue to be a good tick for us as a country. Then secondly, they enjoyed our food. People were very happy. Enjoyed our food, matoke, and people enjoyed our peace. Yeah. People are out in the night.
Yeah.
Monday to Saturday.
No limits.
No limits. So then
clubs here close at
midnight. At the end, they are doing that at a fraction of the price.
Yeah.
So honestly, the Pamoja experience should be a very good experience. But then coming to the other reality of it, and that's a job that has been cut out for the LOC, we must work tirelessly hard to ensure that we maximize the opportunity. When you have this kind of opportunity, you must make the most out of it. You must make sure that you are well prepared for it. You can milk every little opportunity. Okay. So the sports industry, National Council of Sports, the federations, Uganda Tourism Board, Ministry of Tourism, Uganda Investment Authority, we must work together within this time to maximize this opportunity and milk all the possible benefits that it can offer.
I want to give Ambrose the final word, but before I do, just to emphasize what he's just said, hosting a tournament of this magnitude is a once-in-a-generation thing for many countries. Even a country like Morocco that has everything, they last hosted the AFCON in 1988. And they've not hosted until 2025-26, which is 37 years later. So this is a once-in-a-generation thing. Maybe for many of us, if we live very long, the next time Uganda will host the AFCON, we'll be touching our 70s. Yeah? So you've got to understand it, I think, from that concept. Can you imagine England, for all their facilities, they hosted the World Cup in 1966. And they've not hosted again. Japan hosted the Olympics in 1950, where the Ethiopian Bikila won the first Olympic gold in the marathon without shoes. And they did not host again for another 50 years. So sometimes maybe as Ugandans, you need to understand from that perspective that this thing is going to happen and it may not happen again in your lifetime. So Ambrose, your final word on the entire AFCON. Maybe you could do that in 2 minutes, and just for everyone to understand why they need to be part of it.
You've been you have been spot on your last note of this. Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania have been very privileged to be given the mandate to host Pamoja 2027. We must maximize the opportunity. We must get ready for this opportunity. So, as we prepare for this event, the entire country, not just the sporting ministry and the tourism ministry, let's understand that this opportunity is for us as Ugandans to take advantage of it, to grow our country, not to destroy our country. Let's position ourselves to ensure that we market ourselves as a tourism destination, as an investment destination for all the people that are out there, and work together to ensure that the different aspects of our government collaborate to deliver a very, very good product. This calls for from Foreign Affairs as a ministry, to Ministry of Works, to Ministry of Sports, to Health, and to the cities, the host cities, which we have not talked about well in detail. If you are Kampala City, if you are Wakiso, if you are Hoima City, you are Lira City, to position yourself to maximize this opportunity. Don't be surprised, even if Lira is not being positioned as the #1 host for Uganda, it could actually have build-up matches for the tournament. It could host a camp for a country that wants to come and acclimatize with the environment that, within East Africa. So, but that's going to take a very, very big step. We need to take the big steps as the different municipalities and cities to ensure that we position ourselves to maximize this opportunity of sports tourism. I believe that this Pamoja thing will further integrate us as an East African community. Now, the other challenges that people anticipate, how to move to hop around in the different countries, is one of the things that we can work on in the remaining few months to ensure that once I check into Uganda and later on I'm moving to Tanzania and I'm moving to Kenya for this Pamoja thing, I don't have to go through immigration and get stamps again. That is the next stage of integration for the East African community, and hopefully this further unites us and further helps future trade through East Africa and further builds us as a community. But I want to thank our governments, because this Pamoja bid has been well supported from the highest officers of the country. Our president, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and I congratulate him upon the well-deserved victory and coming back to presidency. He has been the linchpin between all these countries and rallying all the other presidents to come on board and ensure that we are ready, but also that we support this Pamoja bid. So we'll continue to rally ourselves behind our leaders to ensure that we position East Africa as a destination for sports tourism, and for the world out there to know that we are the Pearl of Africa as Uganda, and we are a very, very privileged zone of the world as East Africa.
Thank you very much. You heard it from a member of a local organizing committee who also aids the infrastructure committee, and that's Mr. Ambrose Tashobya, who has given his entire life, I think since his teenagers, to sport in Uganda. Thank you for watching.